Thank you very much, Lali, for your kind words and for nominating me for the Urey Award. I am very much honored to be a recipient of this very prestigious award. I am always interested in space. When as a child, my father would take me to a planetarium. I remember the excitement when the night was falling and constellations and planets started to emerge. Then the fun began. I graduated from the engineering department and I worked at the computer company for 3 years. I enjoyed my work, but I wanted to pursue my dream to study something related to space. And I decided to go to the graduate school at Kobe University in Japan. My PhD advisors, Keisuke Ito and Junichi Matsuda, introduced me to meteorites and noble gas mass spectrometry. For various reasons, I became an exchange student at the University of Tokyo under the guidance of Minoru Ojima. At his lab, I studied noble gas geochemistry. After I received my PhD in 1986, I spent a year and a half as a postdoctoral fellow at Ojima's lab. Then I moved to the US to work with Edward Anders and Roy Lewis as a research associate at the University of Chicago in 1988. In the previous year, presolar diamonds were isolated from the meteorite. From 87 to 88, presolar silicon carbide grains were isolated and identified. Those presolar grains carry isotopically anomalous noble gases. Therefore, noble gas analysis and chemical separations played a major role to identify those grains. Both discoveries were done at Anders' lab. It was the dawn of the presolar grain study. My task was to isolate presolar grains from a huge quantity, about 100 grams, of a meteorite. The carrier of neon EL, a neon-222 rich component, was not yet identified, and one of our goals was to identify this unknown carrier. We finally succeeded, and it was graphite. Collaboration with astrophysicists started around the end of my 2 years in Chicago. Working with Roberto Garino and his co-workers at the University of Turin, Italy, was fun and beneficial to each other. I am very grateful that I had the opportunity to work at Anders' lab during that time. After 2 years in Chicago, I moved to St. Louis to work with Ernst Zinner at Washington University. I mainly worked on analyzing isotopic ratios of presolar grains using secondary ion mass spectrometry to decipher nucleosynthesis conditions and grain stellar sources. When I look at SEM pictures of presolar grains, I sometimes think about the fact that those grains were born before the solar system. When I was a child, I wanted to become either a scientist or an archaeologist. Since presolar grains predate the solar system, it's like both of my dreams were realized. Although I have not worked on noble gases in meteorites for a while, it remains one of my main interests. The majority of the heavy noble gases in meteorites is contained in a very small portion of the meteorites, and the carrier is called Q for quintessence. To study Q was the first project I was assigned to as a graduate student. More than 40 years after the discovery of Q in the Ionian meteorite, it still remains enigmatic. Ureyas are an achondrite with igneous futures, yet they contain abundant noble gases that are very similar to those in Q. Those are fascinating problems. I would like to thank my colleagues during various phases of my career. Lastly, I would like to thank my family for their support and encouragement. Thank you.